AI is not going to be able to make up an entire project and then fabricate all of the errors. Even if it does, how confidently is that person going to be able to speak to that particular scenario?
Darius, we are going to discuss about some questions that you should make before your next AI hiring. So, what differs on a strong AI hiring process from a generic one?
Yeah, a strong AI hiring process. I think there's some things that need to be in place. One, the role needs to be well defined. Some managers will just take any job description off the internet. That's one way to do things. But I think, really focusing on what are the required skill set of this person to be successful, and then what are the things that are nice to have. And ideally, those things that are nice to have are like things that take us to the next level. And then all of that needs to be within the scope of what that person should be able to deliver within, let's call it, the first 90 days. That should be set up front so that you know exactly who you are looking for. A lot of time is lost in the hiring process because people are trying to explore who they're looking for while not having defined what they're actually going to be doing, right? So we're wasting time. The other part of that is for that specific person. So teams also, months down the line, rejecting the offer because compensation package doesn't fit. So candidly, those are the two things that make the hiring process more efficient. The second thing is, what does it look like to interview, right? How many stages? What does the person need to prove? What does each round look like? And who do people need to meet, right? So defining that upfront is going to be critically important so that there's insight for the candidate in terms of what their process is going to look like. We're talking about AI talent, and you don't have people who are just sitting on the bench looking for a job. It's very competitive. So having a tighter process, one, makes the candidate feel like they're joining an organization that they can be more confident about. Two, it speeds up your process. So if it is someone that you actually like, you have a better probability of hiring them because the process is smooth and efficient. And three, your team is not spinning cycles trying to determine who you like, who you don't like. That has already been determined upfront.
So, what questions actually reveal real AI experience?
I think they are questions that really force the candidate to think real time. When I say think real time, it means let's describe very specifically what you did on a project, not what the team did, right? Because if it's just what the team did, that person could have kind of been a fly on the wall, which it doesn't mean that that experience is not valuable. But understanding what someone responsibilities were inside of the projects, now you can actually say, well, what did you have exposure to? Where did things go wrong? And what decisions did you make when things went wrong to try to rectify it? Or what decisions did you make to ensure things don't go wrong in the first place, right? It's not about errors being a bad thing. It's about the learning experiences that they've had, right? It's one thing to see something go wrong as a fly on the wall. It's another thing to see something go wrong as the person who had something at stake, right? And so I think answering those experiences get beyond someone's ability to even use AI to answer questions because AI is not going to be able to make up an entire project and then fabricate all of the errors that person, even if it does, how confidently is that person going to be able to speak to that particular scenario? And so I think it tests their skill set, but it also tests their ability to communicate, which is something that is also critically important when we're talking about complex topics like artificial intelligence, how you build it, how you deliver value.
What should you write down before you post the role?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's important to obviously, you need to describe the company, you need to describe the role and what the person will be doing. If it's management, are they going to be expected to manage people? I think that that is very important. There are people who are managers who they are manager level and have no desire to manage people. And there are also people who look to step into that next role. So defining that is important as well. One big thing today is the location of the role. So is this on-site, is this hybrid, is this remote? A lot of people don't want to accept it, but a lot of really good talent will only work remote. Okay. There are also people who favor being in office because they're more social and they want to be next to the people that they work with. So you want to really define that up front and not try to kind of hide that behind the hiring process, because that's going to determine both the quality of candidate you get, but inside that quality, what I'm also including is fit. It doesn't make sense to try to hire someone who only wants to do remote work when the entire job is in office, no matter how talented they are.
What mistake waste a great hire after they join?
It can happen for a few reasons, right? The number one reason I see on a senior level is that the senior person is hired and they don't have senior work to do, right? So they don't want to step into a role and be doing work that, they probably learned how to do 10 years ago. They want to be tackling senior issues, right? And so making sure you hire at the right time is going to be important, and also providing them with autonomy, right? So decision making autonomy is going to be important. For a junior person, where it can go wrong, and I'm not saying entry level, but 1, 2, 3 years of experience, they're still fairly new to their career. So they still do require mentorship, guidance. And if you don't have that on the team already, that hire can go wrong because that person is experimenting without the benefit of effective feedback, right? So it's not always the case that it's a wrong decision to hire someone who is junior, but you have to think through how they're going to be successful in the job. If they need to deliver on a tight time frame and they're inexperienced, but there's very little flexibility for experimentation, that is going to go very wrong. If they have time to deliver and you're willing to deal with their process of upskilling, then you can consider that situation. So those are two scenarios where things go wrong. Also, cultural issues, like what's the communication cadence of the organization? Do you meet every day? If it's a remote team, more communication should be necessary. More intentional communication would be necessary. There are remote team situations where people meet every month, right? But if it's in office, obviously there are more opportunities for unintentional but still positive communication. Those are some things that I think about that I've seen go wrong and not be taken into consideration ahead of the hiring process. If you are about to open an AI role, start with the one-page document and these questions. And if you want a pipeline built around those answers, the link in the description starts a fit call.